Okay, so today's mission is to continue on inspecting and prepping the neck joint to go back together. Now, we're not going to glue it yet, but we're getting it ready so that we're going to clean up both sides of the joint, the dovetail and the dovetail notch, so that when we slide them together in the end, they're going to go together smoothly without a lot of binding and give us enough adjustment to do what we need to do. Now, I've started to do some of the cleanup, and we're going to show you what we need to repair. If you recall, during the steaming process, we did a little bit too much steaming and we got some separation in the upper bout and the upper block and the neck block itself. So it's an easy fix. It's an overnight glue, but it shouldn't be a real issue. And I'll go into some detail with you now on the neck prep and the neck slot. I'm going to move this camera down so that you get a better angle. Okay, as you recall, we had some collateral damage at the heel. This is called the heel of the neck. The neck cap popped off, so we're going to glue that back on first. But you can see, I hope you can see the drill hole, the drill path here, and you can see it a little bit on this side. We're going to fill those and try to restore this dovetail to the perfect shape so that we get maximum contact with the socket side of that joint. And as you can see, we're missing some of the point here. So I'm going to fill that in with an epoxy wood filler and sand that smooth and try to get that to the original shape so that everything is going to go together well. It's cleaned up well. All the glue is off. I started to clean the neck a little bit so that we can make sure everything is ready to go. Now, I did glue the rest of this cap on. This cap broke off down here about this height. If you look very closely, you can see, I hope you can see that crack right about there. Maybe on this side there, you can see better. There was a missing piece here. Now, I will put a filler in that. But you can see, you can barely see the crack there. So that's been filled. But now we're gonna glue the cap on, and we'll leave that sit overnight, and we'll move over here to the lower bout. I mean the upper bout. So let's just take a little glue. We're gonna spread a little glue on the heel. Just like so. Pretty simple. And this cap is actually made out of rosewood. So rosewood is a commonly used in guitars. I'm a little bit surprised it's on this guitar, simply because I think this was a budget guitar and rosewood is definitely not budget material. But here we go. I'm going to set the cap back on. We're going to sort of squeeze out all the overflow here. Take our damp rag. I'm going to make sure everything's fitting in just the right shape. No overhangs, no gaps. We certainly don't want any extra glue to have to deal with later. So we're being very careful to get it just the way we want it. It looks like it's centered quite nicely now. Just double checking all the way around. And it looks pretty good. You can see it is at a slight angle. It's not 90 degrees. It is at a slight angle, but that's straight from the manufacturer that way. So we're going to put a clamp on that, and we're going to leave that set overnight. Take a little bit of a damp rag and just double wipe our joints. Make sure everything lines up good. Everything feels pretty good there. And so that's re-gluing the cap. We'll set this aside now. We're going to move on to this, the neck block itself. Now I told you that we oversteamed and there was some separation, and I've opened that up a little bit with some finishing nails so I can get glue in it. And you can kind of see here where the separation occurred inside the joint, where the upper bout wraps around the neck block. So I put a finishing nail and just spread it out just so I can get the glue in. And also, on the bottom, you'll see, if you look at the top of the screen, you see some separation there. We're going to fill that joint with glue as well. We'll glue this all up and it'll be as good as new. So the first thing we want to do is to get some glue back in that joint. I'm going to use a real small tool here to try to force glue down inside of this joint. As much as possible. I know I'm making a mess. I'm trying to pump it down inside the joint as best I can. Way down inside. So that we can be assured that we've got a reasonably tight, a thorough glue job here when we get done. Remember, the neck is bearing against these surfaces and there's a lot of tension on those strings. So we want to give it as solid as a base as we can. As solid a base as we can. Now we're going to try to get some glue underneath of this area here as well. Kind of a messy job here, but we'll just have to do the cleanup as best we can. Important thing is to get the glue as far into the joint as possible, so we're not just gluing the edge. We're trying to make as much contact with the glue as possible. Wiggle it around. It sort of pumps itself in. If you wiggle the joint, you can see the pumping action. Maybe you can see that, how it kind of pumps back into the joint when you flex the joint like that. Trying to keep a little bit of the mess cleaned up. We certainly don't want to have to sand the glue again. Okay, so we're going to move over to this side. We're going to do the same thing. Trying to pump the glue down inside the joint as much as we can. Sorry for the angle. Maybe I can get you up there a little bit more. We're trying to pump the glue into the joint as much as we can. Open the joint up, push the glue in. Fill as much of the void with glue as we possibly can. Now, as you can see on the inside, we've made quite a mess, but the glue has already pumped through under the block, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. I'm going to clean that a little bit. More will squeeze out when we clamp it, but I want to try to keep it as neat as we can. Now lastly, we have to do this side. So we're going to squeeze some glue in here. Try to get as much glue down inside the joint as possible. You can see there's quite a gap in there, so we want to get lots of glue in there. I don't want to have to take this apart again, that's for sure. We're going to get it glued right the first time. Yeah, I think we're doing good here. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my little finishing nail wedges that I've put in to hold the joints open. And you can see that we got plenty of squeeze out on both sides of that joint. So we know that the joint is full of glue. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. So we're going to clean up a little of that squeeze out, because we certainly don't want the squeeze out to interfere with the neck joint when we actually have to make the neck joint. So we need to be a little bit careful about that as we're cleaning up. You see again, we got good squeeze out inside, which is exactly what we wanted to do. There you can see the squeeze out. Okay, now we're going to do some clamping. I want to make sure that we don't clamp down any glue. We don't want to glue the clamps to the body of the guitar. So we need to make sure that we've got as much squeeze out here as we can away from the guitar. Sorry for my camera angle here. Okay. We're going to put a block in the back, and we're going to take a clamp across the front here. It's going to look something like this. This clamp is going to make sure that that bottom is sealed up. You can see we got some squeeze out from the clamp already. That's a good thing. That's what we're looking for. We're going to clean up whatever squeeze out we can here. Get a fresh rag here. To clean up some of our squeeze out. Okay, we've done reasonably well there. Now we need to make sure that these two areas that we had wedged open with the finishing nails, they had to be clamped down this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little block of wood like this and clamp from the inside like this. Move the block as close to the edge of the joint as we can to get maximum closure there. And we can see the squeeze out on the edge of the joint here. We're going to wipe that up. And we're going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to clamp on this side of the wedge. Can never have too many clamps. Okay, so we're squeezing this clamp down. And as you can see, but we're getting squeeze out on both sides there. You can see the squeeze out there. So we know we got good glue penetration. I'm going to take a minute and try to clean out the dovetail joint here. I'm going to put you on hold. Okay, we're back, and I've done most of the cleanup here now. Gotten rid of all the squeeze out, so we should get a pretty nice a nice joint there when we're done. The dovetail looks tight and secure now. So I think that once we do a final clean and some finished sanding along here, the joint's going to fit together nicely, so that when we finish, take the clamps off and do some final cleanup and prep here, then we will glue the back on. Then after the back is on, then we turn it over and we reinstall the neck. So there'll be more to come.